Hi, my name is Lori Alexander, and women have asked me to share about being a sick wife. And I can absolutely share with you about being a sick, not just sick wife, but a sick mother. When my oldest was 5 months old, I started having a lot of stomach issues, diarrhea, nausea, severe nausea. And it took about 2 or 3 years before they diagnosed me, and I was full of parasites. And I hadn't even gotten out of the country. It was just being at the wrong place at the wrong time. And it took years of strong drugs to get rid of them, and then my gut was destroyed from them, and then I had a brain tumor and surgery, and then I had neck fusion, horrible neck pain, and then my brain tumor grew back, and so I was very, very ill, physically, emotionally, mostly physically, but I never allowed myself. It's very easy to get depressed when you're so sick all of the time. And I was mildly depressed all the time, because most of the battle with illness like that is in the mind. And the two verses that got me through, always when I felt like I was just spiraling into despair, would be, the joy of the Lord is my strength, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I would say those in my mind, and it would just clear my depression. I would just go, oh yeah, God's got this. He's in control. I can do it. His joy. And I decided early on that just because I was so miserable, I wasn't going to make my children's and my husband's life miserable. So I didn't complain. They knew what I was suffering from, of course, but I wasn't constantly moaning and groaning and complaining and making their lives miserable. I wanted them to have a really happy, good childhood in spite of my pain. And the first thing I did in handling it, and the advice that I will give to all of you who are ill as mothers, is to cut everything else out. You don't have to fix meals for other people. You don't have to minister to people outside of your home. You don't need to go to Bible studies, women's Bible studies or conferences, or get involved in the PTA or whatever. You don't need to have all these outside activities. Just focus on your husband, your children, and your home, and do what you can do there. You just take one day at a time, one moment, leaning upon the Lord's strength. Fortunately for me, I had my mom to help. It had been very, very difficult without her, but I didn't have her all the time. But you have to train your older children to help as soon as they are able, because some days I would just be in bed. I was worthless, or else I usually be on the couch, with the kids, overseeing them, and I could get up and get them something to eat and everything, but I was just there, just a blob kind of, But I watched them. I would sit outside and watch them play. That's what's nice about where we live. We can be outside all the time, and the kids can play outside all the time. And just sitting outside is just at one point in my illness, when I had fried my esophagus from all the hydrocortisone and everything, I just, all those issues caused a lot more issues that I've had to deal with over the last 30 years. I was in so severe pain that I would just sit outside all day long in my recliner. The kids were older then, so I had more freedom. Just when the kids are little, that it's really, really, really difficult. But as they grow older, it's not as hard being a really sick mother. It's still hard. Every day is hard. Every year is hard. Ken would take the children to my parents' cabin in Wisconsin in the summers when I couldn't go. And I would just be home alone for 2 weeks, just sick as a dog. And I dreaded those times when I would be alone. And when I started dreading them, I would remind myself, I can do it, because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Nothing is outside of His plan for me. So I could just rest in Him. I simplified my life way down. I wasn't involved in things. I wasn't shopping. I would go to the supermarket to get food, or if I was really sick, my mom would do it for me. My husband traveled a lot during that time, so he was gone almost half the year. So I was home with the kids a lot alone. So I did most of the disciplining and the training. Of course, he was there to back it all up when he was home. But I just look back and I just see how God got me through. It was so difficult when I was going through it. So, so difficult. And I will never minimize your pain or your suffering. But God gets you through. He just does. My mom had ulcerative colitis, and she raised the three of us, and her family was across the country. And my dad was a medical doctor, and he was never home. He never helped. He never did one thing around the home. Nothing to discipline or train us. Ken absolutely did more than that. Like when I was sick and pregnant, he would cook the kids meals and stuff. But and she raised us. Her life was at home raising us, even though she was sick. You know, it almost forces us to be home, like all these backup plans of having this career, say something happened to your kid, or your husband. I couldn't have done my backup plan of being a teacher. I was too ill. But I know God would have provided for me. I know that He would have made a way. And my faith and my trust in Him is strong. And that's who you have to lean upon and trust, that He's going to get you through. And as you don't grumble and complain and your children see you suffering, they're going to see that your faith is real, that you trust in the Lord even when you're in such a heavy-duty trial. And that's a strong, powerful influence on them. All my children have told me that. So God will use it for good, women. He promises that all things work together for good to those who love Him and are called according to His purposes. We can trust that. Even for us sick mommies, I have 4 children all walking in truth. 11 grandbabies. I'm so blessed abundantly. You know, the last couple of years I've been feeling a lot better, praise the Lord. But I don't know what my future holds, but I know who holds it, and I just trust Him. This life is short. We live it loving Him and loving others. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.